Well, happy Monday. No, it's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, fellas and fellettes. Let's put that in the outtakes. Happy Tuesday, gentlemen and ladies. It's just not going for me, is it? Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Liverpool are 2 from 2 for the season. I am, unfortunately, 1 from 2 for the season. I wasn't at St James's Park. I was watching it from my sofa over there, which is very rare for me. I'm normally at every Liverpool game, home and away. Should be at Anfield on Sunday. But pretty much since my last video on this channel, which I think was last Monday or Tuesday, I've been absolutely knocked out by whatever it is, man flu, tonsillitis, COVID-25. I don't know what it is, but I have been sore-throated, coughing, lying on the sofa, watching a bit too much Netflix and watching football. I enjoyed quite a lot of the football, not all of it this weekend. I enjoyed most of it. And the game last night was brilliant, wasn't it? And we will talk about the game. We will talk about some other things, but apologies if I cough my way through this video. But we are here to talk about Alexander Isak, because that's what you all want to hear about, isn't it? Now, most YouTubers, I think, at this point will talk about the boring stuff first and put the Isak chatter at the end, just to keep you watching the whole way through. But I'm not most YouTubers, and I quite frankly can't be bothered to do that. So let's talk about Alexander Isak, because he was not there last night. He, like me, was watching on his sofa in probably a quite more expensive house, maybe a nicer sofa, maybe a bigger TV, although this one is very good. And yeah, the watching experience was probably better than mine. I was watching with a lemsip and tapping away on my laptop. I was doing player ratings, and honestly, they changed about 4 million times, because how do you rate players on a night like that? It's hard, because, you know, there's performances like Milos Kerkez. I thought first half, I'm thinking, yeah, much better than the first two competitive games. Second half, he was poor. Ibrahima Konate was poor. Again, I'm waffling here. You want to know about Isak? It is deadline week. This time next week, the window will be slammed shut, and we will know for certain where Alexander Isak will be or will not be playing his football for the rest of this season. Will it be at Liverpool? Well, I would say on Tuesday, the 26th of August, recording at 3:32 p.m, that it is still possible. It's still possible, guys, because Newcastle are doing all they can to sign strikers. We're seeing them. They're plucking players from here. They're plucking them from there. The names are coming left, right and centre. Jurgen Strand-Larsen. I'm not going to name... I could name them all, but there's millions. There are millions. Dusan Vlahovic is another that's come up this morning from Juventus. Juventus, that was the topic of my last video, wasn't it? And that caused a little bit of a stir. Apologies. But I still think there's a chance of Isak happening, because Liverpool are still lurking in the background, and I would be surprised if they don't make a second official play at him this week. This week, rather. I'm going to edit the coughs out, but if I forget, I'm sorry. Isak is still absolutely desperate for the move. My colleague Craig Hope broke the story yesterday that there was crunch talks at Isak's home. Again, as I said earlier, probably a lot like I said in this one. There were crunch talks there, trying to get him to change his mind. How will he reintegrate and so forth? We're led to believe that at those talks, Isak basically said, sorry, but I want Liverpool. And that is where the land lies at the moment. And it's still, I'm afraid to say, the same story as it has been for 3 weeks. If Newcastle get the players in, if Liverpool put the money forward, then Isak will become a Liverpool player this month. Will those things happen? Well, I'm not so sure. Every day that goes by, you have to be honest with yourselves and say it's more unlikely than likely. Every day that goes by, it becomes more unlikely. But there's still a chance, and there's still 6-7 days of this window to go. So don't rule Liverpool out of this, because I think that Arne Slot knows full well that he wants another forward. I think, although it worked out brilliantly with him throwing on Rio Ngumoha, and we'll talk about Ngumoha in a minute, although it worked out brilliantly, it was almost a bit of a statement, like, come on, lads, I'm throwing on a 16-year-old here. These are my attacking options. I'm throwing on Federico Chiesa, who played, I think off the top of my head, I don't know why I put it out of my head, off the top of my head, 120 minutes in the Premier League last season. Do you know what? It might have even been less than that. It was 1 start and 5 sub-appearances. 4 of those sub-appearances were less than 10 minutes. Can Liverpool rely on him long term? It would be nice to think they could, but can they realistically rely on Chiesa's fitness? I'm not so sure. Can they rely on a 16-year-old? Yeah, he'll be 17 in a few days, whatever. Can they rely on a teenager to come up with big moments like that time and time again? Well, knowing what we know about Rio Ngumoha's talents, then probably, yeah, they could, but I don't know if that would be a wise move for Liverpool. So I think Arne Slot is desperate for that forward, and I think that he will be in Richard Hughes' ear, Michael Edwards' ear, in the next few days, saying, go on, lads, have one last cheeky bid, why don't you? 110 was the first one. There's a little, although apparently it's never been communicated to Liverpool, everyone says that Newcastle want 150 million, and fair enough. There's been a lot of back and forth, there's been a lot of things said. I don't blame Newcastle for their stance, by the way. I don't blame them for sticking to their price tag, because Liverpool fans would be doing the exact same if it was the other way around, and Liverpool were the smaller fish, shall we say, and Newcastle were the Premier League champions. Imagine that. Anyway, Newcastle are sticking by their stance of 150 million, but I believe that's never actually been officially communicated to Liverpool, and there does seem to have been a little bit of talk in the industry that 130 is the figure that will get a deal done. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But do Liverpool go in with that second official bid? Let's wait and see. It's Tuesday, it's the 26th of August, there's 6 days to go. And Liverpool are still in the conversation for Alexander Isak. And he's desperate for the move. So I don't want to sit here and say I've got a sneaky feeling, because, you know, as you guys know, that's what I did on Verts and that came true. I wouldn't want to jinx it in a bad way and say I've got a sneaky feeling on Isak and then something calamitous happen and it not happen. But if they get Strand Larsen, who, by the way, I think is a handy little player, and Wolves would be in a bad situation if they got rid of him, but we're not at Wolves' YouTube channel or a Newcastle channel, even though it often feels like it. If they get him in and another one, then I think they should absolutely sell him. I think they have to sell him, whatever happens, really, if you look at it realistically, because you don't want to be there. If they can get 120, 130, maybe even 140 million for him, then absolutely take it a run, Newcastle. You're never going to get that money again. And, you know, you say what you want about Alexander Isak. Has he handled himself perfectly in this situation? Well, I think it's fair to say that no, he probably hasn't. But I think his hand has been significantly forced by what Newcastle have done, the promises and all that. We're not going to go into promises, but it's an almighty messy situation already. It's going to get even more messy this week. It's going to be fun to watch. Probably stressful for you guys to follow as well. But I'll be updating you on this channel with the latest on the Alexander Isak saga. And who knows, maybe I'll be sat here in a week's time, hopefully with less illness in the system. I don't know if you can tell by the voice. And maybe, just maybe, Alexander Isak will be a Liverpool player getting ready to make his debut, which would be against probably Burnley. Is that the next game after the international break? Well, let's see. But that wraps up the conversation about Isak. I do want to talk about some other things as well. Chief among them is the little lad, Rio Ngumoha. And I've seen some very strange takes on the timeline this morning about Rio Ngumoha. Not going to name any names. But what an unbelievably gifted kid that lad is. 16 years of age, and he's got the world at his feet, as they say. And I have to be very honest, when Arne Slot brought him on, I thought, 2-2, do you just sort of maybe, if I was Slot, I might have said, you know what, a draw, even though it's against 10 men, even though it's against a weakened Newcastle side, in the fact that they didn't have Isak and a few of the good players had gone off or been sent off at this point. I probably, at that point, if I was Slot, would have said, you know what, 2-2, let's just shake hands now and be done with it. He didn't want to do that. He went for the win. He brought on Harvey Elliott. He brought on Rio Ngumoha. And listen, fair play, because I would not have had the cojones to do that. in that situation, maybe. Although I probably would, if I was playing on FIFA, I probably would have subbed on loads of attackers and ended up losing it. But Slot doesn't do that. It's not in his nature to lose games in such a way. But what an inspired substitution. I think the first touch of the ball, he was running at, would it have been Tino Livramento at the time? Maybe lost out that battle, didn't faze him. And then he's there, right place, right time. Brilliant dummy, by the way, from Dom Soboslai, who deserves a lot of credit for last night. Thought he was very good at right back. Maybe a slightly shaky start, but grew into the game, made some big tackles, big contributions. He ran more than any Liverpool player on the night as well. I think, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but he ran more than any Liverpool player. But Rio, what a kid. I think I dug out an article that I wrote this time last year, 12th of September, so pretty much this time last year, talking to a few people who knew Rio Ngumoha as a kid, and they said, the headline quote was, if he was playing in Brazil, Chelsea would be going to buy him for £50 million. And I thought at the time when the guy said that to me, I thought, I'm not so sure. Now, he was wrong. He was wrong, because it wouldn't be 50 million, it would be 100. He is that good, and that is why, I ask Liverpool, I say, is this true? I've seen 5 or 6 different reports in France that you're in for Bradley Barcola. No, they say, we've got Rio Ngumoha. Oh, what about this? Rodrigo, everyone's linking Rodrigo to Liverpool. Even his agent is trying to put words in the mouth of journalists saying, we want Liverpool. Liverpool say, sorry lads, we've got Rio Ngumoha. And that is the trust that they have in him. What a player he is. We already know about how he's humiliated players in pre-season, also in training, by the way, last season, apparently. We've got nothing to verify the claims that Liverpool had to delete footage of Ngumoha skinning defenders. I've not verified that, but it's hard not to believe it, isn't it, when you watch him? So do what you want with that information. But honestly, just such a grounded kid as well. You speak to people close to him, they sort of say, we don't want to speak at the moment on the record because, they want to keep Rio's head in the right place, and so be it. Brilliant, tight-knit family group. He's got the right people around him. He had multiple clubs after him this time last year, but he chose Liverpool for the pathway. Liverpool probably said to him, within 2 or 3 or 4 years, you will be fighting for first team places. Well, he's done that in 1 year, and that is testament to A, his ability, B, his character, and C, Liverpool's belief in young players, which a lot of clubs wouldn't have done that. Would Eddie Howe have put a 16-year-old... Actually, let's not slate Eddie Howe, because I do like him as a person and a manager. He was just the first one that came into my head, but certain managers, would they have put Rio on in the last minute last night? I'm not so sure. But honestly, I think the kid's got the world at his feet, and he's only going to go from strength to strength. Yes, they do have to manage his minutes, as I've said on here a number of times, but he's just unbelievable footballer. I've said many times, he's not one for the future anymore. He is the here and now, although he is the best thing in Liverpool's academy, and he is the future of Liverpool Football Club, and he's only going to get better, as I just say. So I want to talk as well a little bit about negative things that I noticed last night. The defence is not very good at the moment, is it? Ibrahim Konate has not looked very good at all in the first 3 competitive games of this season, including the Charity Shield. Milos Kerkez, as I said earlier, iffy at best. Virgil, first 2 games I thought he wasn't at his best. Last night I did think he was at his best. Liverpool have conceded 6 goals in the first 3 competitive games of this season. Last season, it took until the 13th game of the season, which was Arsenal in late October, for them to concede their 6th goal. So that just shows you the differences in Liverpool's defence this season. And the other stat, which I've got up here, Arne Slot's men have conceded 3.7 big chances per 90 minutes so far this season, compared to 1.9 every 90 minutes last season. So that's nearly double. They're facing more shots, the XG against is higher, and the headline number, of course, is that goals tally. The goals per game last season was 0.98 per game. It's now obviously 2. But more stark, maybe, should we say, they've conceded 2 goals from counter-attacks this season. And in the whole of last season, they only conceded 3. Now, 2 of them, of course, were against Bournemouth. Szoboszlai losing it high up and Brooks crossing for Semenyo. And then, I can't remember who lost it, and Semenyo ran the length of the pitch to score. Konate backpedaling, never engaging, never going to the ball, poor defending all round. Would that be solved with Ryan Gravenberch? Well, he solved a lot last night. Again, Liverpool haven't had that full defensive midfield structure back yet. McAllister obviously injured for the trip to Newcastle. Gravenberch only playing his first game of the season. Szoboszlai out of position at right back. So when that's fully fit, then Liverpool should be back to normal. But there are some tough games coming up. Arsenal at home, never easy, especially when they've looked decent. Watch them against Leeds at the weekend, and they looked all right, but Saka's obviously missing. And then after the international break, it's trip to Burnley, who are pretty bad, I think. But Scott Parker's team conceded only a handful of goals last season. Not sure exactly how many it was, but it was a championship record, I believe. And obviously got that first win at the weekend. So Turf Moor, I don't think will be the easiest trip of all time. Should win, but it's not easy. And then after that, it's the Merseyside derby. So the next 3 league games are tricky. And I do think that they need to sort that defence out, because if you're defending like Liverpool have done in the last 2 weeks against an Arsenal, you will be punished. If you are at Turf Moor with 10 minutes to go, who knows, they might be able to see it out. If you're playing against Everton, then it's never easy at the best of times. So there are worries in the defence, there are worries in the attacking depth, as I talked about earlier. But these are only little nitpicky worries. And overall, Liverpool have played twice and they have won twice. Did they deserve the 6 points from them games? Maybe not, but that's football, innit? And that is what champions do. We're in the very, very early stages of this title race, but that is 2 very big wins. And I'll be back with another video very shortly. Have a good week all.